Hey everybody, Andrew Zimmern here, Substack, Ask Me Anything. This has become one of my favorite 10 minutes of my week. I love your questions, and I actually enjoy hearing my own answers. It makes me think, and it's great. So thank you. Keep the questions coming. We will answer as many of them as we can. Amanda Ray asks, what's the meal that haunts you, if there is such a thing? Oh my God. There are dozens, and they're all the meals that I will never, ever, ever be able to have again. I was in Samoa on the side of the island that was wiped out by the tsunami 6 years ago. And we were with a tribal people whose landmass, very, very small area, 40 family groups that were allowed to populate this area of the beach by the government, had giant scallop field in this sort of like tidal estuary in front of them, protected by a reef. And these giant scallops were, no shit, this big. They weighed 100 pounds. It was insane. And they were, as part of their deal, they were allowed to harvest a couple a year. And the rest of the field of giant scallops, there were probably maybe 80 or 90 out in the water, were being studied by biologists who were there every day, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And we ended up being there on a day where they were harvesting one. And I got to taste a giant sea scallop, all different parts of it. I'm never going to have that meal again. I'm never going to eat, speaking of Samoa, the island of Nu'uateli, where this giant fruit bat lives. But because it doesn't go across the water, it only sits on that island, all it eats is our breadfruit down on the edge of they come out of this, every night the fruit bats come out of this giant cave at the top of this hill and come down into the breadfruit trees. That's where we were able to capture them and eat them. And they eat breadfruit, but because they only eat breadfruit and nothing else, and it's an uninhabited island, and that's the only edible thing for the fruit bats to eat, you can eat their guts, their blood, everything is super clean. And you just roast it over open fire and gather wild ginger and juice it between rocks. Meals like that, I'm never going to have them again for the rest of my life. It's just not going to happen. So yeah, those meals haunt me. How can you nominate someone to be on Family Dinner? Our production company, Intuitive Content, you can follow them on Twitter at Intuitive Content. That's IN2 ITIVECONTENT. They always put out casting calls, and you could submit your family. Or you can go on the Intuitive Content website, intuitivecontent.com, spelled as it sounds, no number 2. And if you go on intuitivecontent.com, you can email the company and nominate a family to be on Family Dinner. Chuck writes, I know answering this question is going to be hard. It's my favorite beginning to every question. But I'd love to hear what you have to say. I wrote you earlier about this one sandwich because I'm still obsessed with it. Oh, I know what it is. Earlier Bizarre Food Show, Trinidad and Tobago, sure, Richard's Bacon Shark. On the beach there, they were cooking fresh shark sandwiches in a tent of some kind. That's right. The way it was prepared made me want one terribly, and after you had tried it, you called it the best sandwich of any kind you had ever eaten. I continue to believe that. I just had something that was right up there, the chicken sandwich at Cote in Miami, but I still think it's the best sandwich I've ever eaten. What they did is they took dough and they made fresh fry bread. Then they grilled pieces of this very small sand shark. It's not endangered. It's not illegally harvested. It's a managed fishery. Then you got your grilled fish and your fry bread, and you walked over to a 20-foot table that had every kind of condiment under the sun. Well, every condiment available in the island tropical world. And the fresh tamarind sauce there, I just put tomato and pickled vegetables and cucumber and whatever, and this tamarind sauce with this hot grilled fresh fish shark and this hot bun. The bun was still hot. The buns were made to order. Still the best sandwich I've ever eaten. What is the best burger you've ever eaten? I get tons of arguments, tons of people coming at me all the time. Like pizza, I think we love the burgers and pizza of our childhood. Like what we grew up on is the burger. And I'm sure a better burger exists than the one that's served at J.G. Mellon on 74th and 3rd Avenue in New York City. But that's the burger I grew up on. I grew up in that place. I had my first drink there. I kissed my first girl there. I watched football games with my dad and his buddies there on Sunday afternoons. I mean, that was the neighborhood tavern growing up. I did everything at J.G. Mellon's, and I love their hamburger. I'm actually sitting in a room with someone that I've worked with for a gazillion years who, on a trip to New York, we went to J.G. Mellon at 3 p.m. because I wanted them to have this burger so badly, because all I'd done was talk about it for years and they'd never had one. And I do that
delicious.
with it was our comms director says, yeah, it was delicious. It's just my favorite burger. I just assume eat that burger than any other burger in America. It doesn't mean that others aren't great. It just means that that's the one that I want to have. If you said you get to eat one hamburger and then give them up forever, that's the one I'm eating. Anyway, send us your questions. I'll answer them. And thank you guys for participating. Tell your friends to subscribe to Substack. And if you believe in what we're doing, we really, really appreciate the paid subscriptions. It helps keeps the lights on in the office. You know, it takes a lot of resources, and we appreciate all of you who are paying subscribers. We appreciate the free subscribers too, by the way.